Buried beneath Israel's hills lies a prison that sees no sunlight. Palestinians held in darkness, beaten, starved, forgotten. Once deemed too inhumane to exist, it is now reopened under Ben-Gvir's watch. A secret underground world of silence, fear, and shattered humanity. Israel is reportedly holding dozens of Palestinians from Gaza in an underground prison where they never see daylight, are deprived of adequate food, and denied all contact with their families or the outside world. According to a report by The Guardian, citing the lawyers from the Public Committee Against Torture in Israel, or PCATI, the detainees include at least 2 civilians held without charge or trial, a nurse detained in his scrubs, and a young food seller. The 2 men have reportedly been kept in the subterranean Rakefet complex since January. Both described routine beatings and abuse consistent with torture previously documented in Israeli detention facilities. Rakefet Prison, built in the early 1980s to hold top organised crime figures, was shut down within a few years for being inhumane. But in the aftermath of the 7th October 2023 attacks, far-right National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir ordered it reopened to hold Palestinian prisoners. Under a ceasefire agreed in mid-October, Israel released 1,700 Palestinian detainees from Gaza held without trial, and 250 prisoners convicted in Israeli courts. But human rights groups say over 1,000 Palestinians remain incarcerated under similar wartime conditions. In a statement, PCATI said,
"Though the war is officially over, Palestinians from Gaza are still imprisoned under legally contested and violent wartime conditions that violate international humanitarian law and amount to torture."
During his recent visit to the prison, Ben-Gvir told Israeli media that Rakefet was being rehabilitated to hold Nukba, meaning elite. Hamas fighters who led massacres inside Israel, and Hezbollah special forces, fighters captured in Lebanon. But the PCATI lawyers who visited the facility in September tell a different story. One of them, Janan Abdu, said,
"In the cases of the clients we visited, we are speaking about civilians. The man I spoke to was an 18-year-old who worked selling food. He was taken from a checkpoint on a road."
Saya Mishirki Baransi, another PCATI lawyer who was allowed to visit 2 detainees inside Rakefet, said the detained nurse last saw daylight on January 21, 2025, when he was transferred to Rakefet after passing through several other prisons.
The nurse, a father of 3, has received no news of his family since detention. When I told him I talked to your mother and she authorized me to meet you, then I am giving him this tiny thing, at least telling him that his mother is alive.
The Israeli prison service did not comment on the detainees' status or identities. According to classified Israeli data, most Gazans detained during the war were civilians. Israel's Supreme Court ruled in 2019 that holding the bodies of Palestinians for negotiation leverage was lawful. Rights groups now accuse Israel of extending that practice to the living, keeping Gazan detainees as bargaining chips. Tal Steiner, the executive director of PCATI and whistleblower from the Israeli military, said the conditions for Palestinian prisoners across Israel are brutal by design, but Rakefet imposes a unique form of abuse.
Holding people below ground without daylight for months on end has extreme implications for psychological health. It's very hard to remain intact when you are held in such oppressive and difficult conditions.
Despite decades of human rights work and visiting prisons at the complex in Ramla, Steiner admitted she had not heard of the underground jail before Ben-Gvir ordered it back into service. She cited former Israeli prison commissioner Shlomo Suisa, who once wrote,
"Being held below ground 24/7 is just too cruel, too inhumane for any person to endure, regardless of what their actions have been."
In mid-2025, PCATI lawyers Janan Abdu and Saja Mishirki Baransi were allowed to visit 2 detainees inside Rakefet. They were led underground by masked armed guards down dirty stairs into a foul-smelling room littered with dead insects. Abdu recalled,
The toilet was so dirty, it was in effect unusable.
Surveillance cameras covered the meeting room, violating confidentiality. Guards warned that any mention of detainees' families or the Gaza war would end the visit. Janan Abdu, speaking with The Guardian, describing her experience of the visit, said,
I asked myself, if the conditions in the lawyer's room are so humiliating, not just personally to us, but also to the profession, then what is the situation for the prisoners? The answer came soon when we met them. The clients were brought in bent over, with guards forcing their heads to the ground and remained shackled at their hands and feet.
One of her colleagues, Baransi, who visited the prison along with her, added,
The 2 detainees had been in Rakefet for 9 months, and the nurse began the meeting by asking, Where am I and why am I here? The guards had not told him the name of the prison.
The prisoners described windowless, airless cells holding 3 or 4 people, often leaving them breathless. They reported beatings, attacks by dogs with iron muzzles, and starvation-level food rations. Medical care, they said, was virtually non-existent. According to PCATI, Israeli judges authorized their detention through brief video hearings without defense lawyers. Detainees were told only that they would remain until the war ends. Earlier this month, Israel's High Court ruled the state was depriving Palestinian prisoners of adequate food. Their accounts match images from a televised visit by Itamar Ben-Gvir, who proudly declared,
This is the terrorists' natural place under the ground.
Ben-Gvir has publicly boasted about the mistreatment of Palestinian detainees. Former Israeli hostages have since claimed his rhetoric fueled Hamas's own abusive treatment of captives during the 7 October conflict. Israeli intelligence agencies have warned that such tactics could endanger Israel's wider security interests by radicalizing future generations. In a written statement, the Israeli Prison Service said,
We operate in accordance with the law and under the supervision of official comptrollers, and we are not responsible for the legal process, classification of detainees, arrest policy, or arrests.
The Justice Ministry referred questions about Rakefet to the Israeli military, which in turn redirected queries back to the IPS.